right. It is the rare live stream edition of Takedown. I couldn't find the time to record it earlier today. So Paul agreed to jump on in the evening. I know you have a little bit of free time in the evening, so it works out for you.
Mhm.
And so we're able to go live. Now, topics wise, this week was pretty interesting because I was very I was very public about I needed the weekend off. Like, I was not gonna watch any wrestling, so no SmackDown, no Collision, no NXT, No Mercy, and I don't watch TNA generally, but I know TNA was also this weekend. So I took the weekend off, and then I thought, man, what am I gonna do for Monday? So I I clicked through Collision this morning, which meant that, it wasn't the weekend, it was Monday, so I just kind of clicked through it. I didn't go against my word. And so I got to see some of the stuff that happened on Collision. I read some of the SmackDown stuff. And then now I have a little bit of an idea. The one thing that I didn't really follow, and I'll allow you to kind of take the lead on, which is the NXT TNA, the Invasion stuff,
Mhm.
Ricky Saints winning the title from Obafemi, all that stuff. I'll kind of lean on you, and we can talk about it. So I came up with the first topic, which is something that Dave and I and John Muse and Ethan Tyler talked about on Wrestling Observer Radio. The show went too long, so I kind of had to cut off the podcast version. And then I was like, okay, well, we'll just hang out, and there will be a little bit of an overflow on the YouTube channel. So for those who have the YouTube subscription can watch it. And then Josh Nason sent me an email yesterday, or a note saying, yeah, the subscribers are mad that they didn't get the extra 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay. So I put it up on the regular YouTube, and then I think Josh put it in the feed as well. So sorry, people, the 20 minutes that you didn't get to hear, but it was actually a pretty good 20 minutes. And one of the things we talked about was what happens usually in the history of WWE when they are uber successful is that they kind of get in this mentality of like, we can do no wrong. And the interesting thing about this time is they have actually made some mistakes creatively, and it hasn't meant anything to their business. Like, personally, to me, the John Cena thing was a mistake. And I think had they been able to figure out him being a hot baby face through the summer, I think that would have been better for business actually than him trying to be a heel. He has even admitted saying that that was a mistake. He wasn't good at it. But it's things like that where historically you turn Stone Cold Steve Austin and there's like an immediate the business goes down because of this decision. And that is not what their business is right now. They can raise prices and nothing happens. They can move their entire PLE system to a different place, and at least right now nothing happens. They moved all of their television for Monday night to a streaming service, and we can argue what those numbers are and what they mean. But to their business, to their current business, it has actually been, for the most part, from what I can tell, a positive and not a negative. So I was in this hypothetical headspace, Paul, and I wanted
Mhm.
to ask you, let's say there was an opportunity where WWE's business actually did fall a little bit, and there was an opportunity for AEW to pick up some disgruntled customers. And again, I'm going to say that's hypothetical because I don't see it at all. Like
Mhm.
nothing tells me that this exists. And I was thinking about this as it pertained to AEW's pay-per-view, All Out. And I was thinking that as, okay, you actually got some good publicity because your show went up against WWE show and your show didn't die. Your show actually picked up buys. I don't know if it was because of the competition. The card itself wasn't that great to me. So there's something in there that caused fans to go and push the buy button. Maybe it was being on Max. But then I was like, okay, so what about Wednesday? You come off of this hot show, hot to some people, And then what do you do on Wednesday? Like, if there was an opportunity, if there were some people who were like, F this ESPN Unlimited app, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go to AEW. What was on Wednesday's show to where AEW was like, come over here. Like, come on our side. Give us a hug. And so let's use this for the first topic, which is, if there was an opportunity, do you think AEW's product is open to grabbing WWE eyes, or is it too different and maybe even too niche for those fans to even give it a chance if they got disgruntled with the WWE?
Well, different niche. Also, it's been around a while. So, like, I think that obviously we saw when AEW debuted that I'm sure a lot of their fans that started watching the show that were originally buying the pay-per-views were disenfranchised WWE fans because WWE had been the only game in town for 20 years. I mean, TNA, ROH, but, like the only serious competitor. And the only one that was going to bid for talent. So we got that. And then, we got an uptick when CM Punk came in as well. We got more of those disenfranchised fans that came back. And then when they got, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole coming in from WWE, we haven't really seen it with any of the other people they brought in from WWE, like Mercedes or Adam Copeland. Like we haven't really seen any. So like, I wonder if like their die is cast in that sense, like in terms of ex WWE fans or, current WWE fans that don't like what they're seeing or are frustrated by booking, by ticket prices, by the fact that they're doing business with Saudi Arabia, a number of things. And what you mentioned about switching platforms and everything. I think the switching platforms might be something because I really do see, out of all the things you mentioned, that is the one where I've seen people complaining the most in terms of having to pay $30, the app not being what they were told it was going to be, like, oh, just turn on ESPN, so that more so than the quality of the shows or the booking. I think that is the one where I think they may have done a misstep. Whereas at the same time, AEW is on HBO Max, which from all accounts is pretty easy. It's a higher quality. It's an extension of their cable broadcast. And then now you got the pay-per-views where you can just buy it on the same platform and save money. So maybe, but I'm not sure.
So again, this is hypothetical, because I don't see the WWE fan. You know what's so interesting about the product? WWE has so many people who are over that when Roman Reigns goes away to shoot a movie, it is actually a positive because the fans pop for when he comes back, and he's only been gone like a month.
Mm-hmm.
And which happened on Raw tonight. Well, by the way, I didn't see it, but I know that I saw that as kind of the big news coming out of the show.
He came back?
I think he came back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I was watching New Japan.
So that is something that they can always go back to. It's just, oh, Cody Rhodes is going to go shoot a movie. He's going to be gone for four weeks. CM Punk, he's going to be gone for 3 weeks. Jacob Fatu, who we haven't seen for a month, and then he shows up on SmackDown, and then it almost feels like they're new again, right? AEW,
Gunther's another one. He's been gone.
Whenever he comes back, it'll be a big deal. And AEW, they don't have enough people over who can actually do that and make a difference. Like, we thought Eddie Kingston, I would have used him in a much different way, but Eddie Kingston comes back to that pay-per-view, and the fan base was like, okay, this is the worst thing on the show. And
Orange Cassidy shows up on Dynamite, and they couldn't have done that worse.
I blame the booking and the creative for that. I didn't think it was good at all. But the point is like, even the folks that you can do that with, they're not even doing it in a way that excites a lot of people. They're just sort of like absorbed back into the fabric of the show. And so if I was Tony Khan, and he has been very positive about their year, I think to bounce back from what they dealt with the previous 2 years in just the negativity around the product, the negativity around his creative, the negativity around how he handled CM Punk and Jack Perry. He personally has bounced back pretty well. And I think that he is so happy with how things are going. And he's putting out the product that he wants, or maybe that he's been trying to do, and he finally has been able to do it. But they have also lost baby faces, right? Will Ospreay, that's one that they're going to have to deal with. Swerve will probably be back sooner than later, but that's another one. Kenny Omega not being the Kenny Omega that we want him to be probably ever again is something that they'll have to deal with.
He's coming back on Wednesday, and that may have even been handled worse than Cassidy. They announced it during a match on Collision that nobody would have seen. And
yeah.
So
but the thing that I would do, and this is harder said than done, but I would anticipate WWE cooling off a little bit. I use my buddy Dalen, who the Joker, Pro Wrestling Joker, who, I mean, I like around this time last year through WrestleMania, like this guy was on all of the shows that Dave and I did. He was texting me. He was on our shows, popping in. He's just in love with WWE. And then I had to text him the other day. I was like, hey, dude, what is going on? Like, I haven't heard from you in forever. He's like, I kind of fell off. I just took a couple months off of WWE. It was kind of boring. And there are fans like that, right? There are fans like that. Now, how do you attract Dalen if you are Tony Khan? Like, I would try and put things in my product that would attract a Dalen. Now, I don't know that AEW could fully get Dalen the way that WWE has before. Like, there's a level of the cool thing in town that I think he really, really enjoys about their product. And AEW just not. Like, you're not going to a TV taping and seeing 15,000 people or 12,000 people or whatever it is. You're going to a TV taping in a small building and seeing 3. So that makes it inherently less cool because it doesn't look like everyone else is doing this. So, but that part of it is hard, but there would be things creatively, I think, that I would kind of do for the possibility that WWE just cools off, because it's inevitable, right? You can't keep a hot streak for years and years and years. There's going to be an issue. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be someone who gets hurt, and there will be a window. And I don't think AEW will ever be able to compete with WWE like they did when CM Punk came along, because that was kind of like a once in a lifetime. And they did take advantage of that for that year. But there are things that they can do, I think, that would enable them to possibly pique the interest in the event that a WWE fan might go, oh, gosh, I'm kind of sick of these high prices, or I'm kind of sick of Triple H hobnobbing with Donald Trump, or the Saudi thing has finally gotten to me. Whatever the reason is, like, I'm not saying that those are the reasons. I'm saying whatever the reason is, because WWE will give you the opportunity to question them in many reasons. There was a Brock Lesnar thing that Paul Heyman said that got people upset last weekend. So I just don't sense that Tony Khan's version of wrestling necessarily would even open the opportunity to attract that kind of fan with the way that he's doing things today, though. I'll say that with one caveat. He did try with a couple of moments on All Out, which, I mean, we both talked about this. They didn't hit for me, but there was an attempt with the Jack Perry return, and there was an attempt with the Chris Statlander winning, and then I got frustrated because on Wednesday, the way that she was introduced as the world champion who beat this like historic title, like their most over person in their company. And it was like, welcome, Chris Statlander. Congratulations on winning. Now let's move on to the next thing. I was like, oh my gosh, like how, why? You know, it wasn't that big. And you can even contrast it to Monday Night Raw, where Stephanie Vicaire gets her own segment to cut a promo. Now, I didn't even think that was perfect, but that was way better than introducing Chris Statlander the way that Renee just did, of like, hey, and then here's Harley to steal the show.
That,
steal
yeah,
the promo.
yeah, the Harley thing. Yeah.
So again, this is hypothetical, but if you were Tony, are there things that you could do to attract a possible disenfranchised fan?
Well, there are, but the problem is, and we've run into this before. When he does things like that he thinks will attract a WWE fan, he ends up getting a lot of pushback from very vocal online hardcore AEW fans that don't want it. And
are they going to go away though? Because that's the bet.
No, they're not. But he listens to them. So when stuff happens and you know, and maybe they have a bad week because, you know, there was, you know, they were up against, you know, the opening of the NCAA tournament, or, you know, Major League Baseball World Series or something. And then the numbers are down, and then, oh, well, look, it's because you did this, you know, and realizing it's, you know, like, if you got to make some change. Or like some of the stuff he does, like maybe he's trying to do like something like WWE would do, or something that would attract a WWE fan. I got to be careful. We can't do what WWE would do, right? That's a no-no. But to attract a WWE fan, you know, it's funny you bring up your friend Dalen, and I have a friend, you know, it's my friend Doug, who you know, I kind of use him as a barometer sometimes, and he's been in and out, mostly out on AEW. When they first debuted, he was super excited because WWE sucked. He was looking for something else, and he watched it for like the first 6 months, and then he just kind of like, yeah, I don't really like this. And then he's been in and out since then. When they last came to Winnipeg, which I think was like May of last year, I brought him to the show. I had gotten free tickets, and so he came because it was free and because we got free food. The food was what put it over the top. He wasn't even going to go if not for the free food. And I'd asked him, he said, I haven't even watched it since the last show we went to, which was a year before. And he said, and then after the show, he's like, don't even bother asking me next time. Like, I'm not going.
Wow.
Like he just didn't like it. And that was the show where Kenny Omega got beat up. You know, and they did that angle where they wrote him off for however long he was gone.
Yeah.
He just didn't like it. And it was, you know, the crowd, but it's kind of like what you said, like the first time we went, the building was almost full. People were rabid. It was a fun show, especially compared to the SmackDown that we had just gone to. You know, and then fast forward a year, and we also went to a Raw around the same time, and Raw was so much better than Dynamite. And the building, we had like, it was half full, whereas Raw was packed to the rafters. So, you know, like there is that cool game in town feeling, but it's also, WWE has been around forever. And if you grew up as a wrestling fan, that's the wrestling, you know, and it's comfortable. And as long as it's not bad, you're probably going to stick with it. And so like when we had this discussion off air, you know, like about WrestlePalooza, and it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't what Triple H promised. It definitely wasn't a good show. But if you're like a fan that just tunes in every time and you're like, yeah, okay, that wasn't great, but the next one will be better. You know what I mean?
You know what the problem is though about today's wrestling, and this is actually a positive thing about it.
It's too good.
Yeah, the wrestlers are so athletic, so talented. Yeah. The shows are, especially WWE's shows, are really well produced. AEW has some really good produced shows. Sometimes they still make
Bound for Glory was a bad show. It's the first bad show I've seen in a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it had a couple good matches on it, but it was a bad show.
Those two companies, it's gonna be.
It has not Bound for Glory. Sorry, Victory Road, the one they did on Friday. Sorry,
it's gonna have to be something that 20 years ago we would have considered an average show, for it to be really bad,
Oh
right?
yeah. Like Victory Road was way better than a show from 20 years ago. I read some of these reviews in the old Observers, and it's like 1.5 stars, 1 star. Like the best match on the show is 3.25 stars, and it's got mostly thumbs up. Like that's what we were dealing with. Like there's no way that would fly today.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so when I see reviews, like everyone is talking about Andres Hale's review as a C,
Yeah.
and people go, "Oh, it's a C," and you think of a C as a C that you would get in school. Okay, I passed. But what a C is today versus what a C would have been years ago is so different because our expectations are just so much higher for the quality of shows that we get. So in reality, when you give something a C, you're basically saying that it was not good or it did not live up to your expectations. Which is why I sit most of the shows that we see, I sit them in the B plus range. There are very few shows that we see that I go, okay, that was an A, because my expectation is a little higher than it would have been, even 2 years ago, as far as this stuff. And that's what's good about competition as well, is they're raising the floor of what these shows are. So that is a byproduct of kind of where wrestling is today. Whereas if you do something like WrestlePalooza, a C is kind of like an F if you are looking at it from the perspective of what did they promise and what did they give us. Like a C, people are thinking that's positive. I kind of took it as, damn, Andreas, kind of ripped them. But you're masking it by putting a grade on it. So, all right, well, we don't have to say too much on this, but I guess I do have one more thing, which is, if you like, let's use Doug, but let's use Doug before he swore off AEW. Like,
Okay.
let's say the 2019 Doug, who was so bummed about WWE. What is even AEW's biggest selling point to that fan? Is it, well, they have Dean Ambrose and they have Edge and they have Bobby Lashley and MVP? Is that the selling point, or is the selling point like, look at all these younger wrestlers and the product is faster? And because to me, where the difference in the two products are in WWE's ability to pull off AJ and CM Punk, which kind of comes out of nowhere, but you just watch the level of detail that they put into that thing, and they're letting their superstars cook, versus I don't even know what the comparable thing would be on AEW as far as like the storytelling. Or they trying to build to this moment of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going to see this. Like, that's where WWE still kills them in every time. Whereas, the AEW fan may think maybe that they don't want that for whatever reason. But like, that's the thing that still gets me to the dance, is like, if you promise me that, I'm paying attention. If you promise me a 4-star match, which is now really, to my eyeballs, a 3-star match, because I just see that that's like the average these days, that's going to be less. I'm going to be less interested in that than what they did with AJ and Punk.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, because when you talk about what AEW has or what it could have that would attract fans of WWE that maybe are looking for a change, I think what they need is, like, their strength is also their weakness to the fans that they don't have, and that is the wrestling. Fernando brought it up in the chat, where he said WWE fans will stay with WWE because AEW prioritizes in-ring wrestling, and they don't like that. That's not true. Like, WWE fans, it's not that they don't like in-ring wrestling, but it's not necessarily the most important thing to them. And if you're giving them a product that is just match, 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 they're going to get bored. And so what you need to create stars. And so Tony Khan's idea is, we've got John Moxley, we've got Hangman, we've got Tony Storm, we got Mercedes. These are all people that are over with my fan base. I'm going to send them out there to wrestle every week. Moxley's going to wrestle Daniel Garcia. He's going to wrestle tag matches. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Hangman's going to wrestle. He's going to defend the title against Lee Moriarty because that's a banger. Everybody's going to love that. And I think that Hangman.
I loved it for Lee. I loved Lee getting the exposure, but it was just every other happy loser kind of match that we see.
And Jeff and I talked about this, like how much better would it have been for Hangman to go out there and do a promo if Hangman was a strong enough promo to carry a segment like that and do a promo and talk about what happened at the pay-per-view, set up what's going to happen next, maybe have someone come out and interact with him, whoever's going to be his next challenger. Like, again, that's something WWE would do, but that's also why that's how Rhea Ripley became the biggest star on that Raw brand without hardly ever wrestling, because they're presented as a star and you're focusing on their strengths. Kyle Fletcher, to me, as great as his matches are, I maybe enjoy his promos even more when he comes out there and he talks about being the proto star and there's a spotlight on him and he talks about things, and especially when he's interacting with people, like that's the guy. Like, I mean, that's the guy, like right there. Like, I don't know if Tony realizes it, but that's the guy and he's 26 years old, like God's sake, and he just signed a long-term deal. So like, I bring up Hangman maybe is not the guy to send out there to do a promo segment that's going to last you 10 minutes. Toni Storm, that's how she got over. It wasn't her wrestling. Mercedes, it's mostly her wrestling, but she's also compelling in those segments. Moxley,
she gets a lot of TV time.
She does. Moxley,
she seems special because she gets her own segment. And like I mentioned with Chris Statlander, she gets like a 3-minute conversation with Renee.
Yeah. And where she's not even the focus of it, because it's about Wheeler Yuta and it's about Harley Cameron. And, I thought she did a great job in the main event segment. Again, like turning down Moxley, like that came off really well. It's probably the best thing they've done with her since the Willow feud. But even better than winning the title, honestly, like the way she reacted and the way she acted and her acting in that segment was really good. So I think that's what they need to do. But I also don't think there's any chance that they're actually going to do that, because I think Tony believes that and he's right, that his wrestling that he has the best wrestler. AEW is where the best wrestle. It's a cliche, but
don't say that too loud, man. John the Rock is going to start laughing.
Well, I know, but okay. They have AEWs where the wrestlers have the best matches, but even that he's going to argue with.
By the way, I would pretty much agree, but it's styles of wrestling, right? If you're looking for what you believe is a pay-per-view effort on television, the effort is there, no matter if you appreciate the style of match that you're going to get.
Right.
Where on WWE, they wrestle a style for a television show, which I think is to their advantage for the most part too, because I've said this before, I don't even really pay attention that closely to television matches because I know that nothing is going to happen. And I know that it's just a setup. It's just marketing for the pay-per-view. So to me, I don't really care about the television wrestling, but to some people
have to watch an AEW.
Yeah, to some people, they live and die by it. Like, it's like they're the favorite thing of the week. And so, it's just you're leaning into different tastes, I guess. Okay, let's talk about this NXT TNA Invasion angle that they are doing. And you can talk a little bit about the No Mercy thing. I guess my question on it is, outside of TNA, do people care about this angle? Unless you are a TNA fan, because I can see to a TNA fan, they're like, finally, we're getting like something that seems important, and they're actually using WWE television to kind of get over our guys, and maybe this will be helpful. But I can see it from a TNA standpoint, but I can also see it from a TNA standpoint of just that TNA fan who just expects the worst to happen at all times. They can probably go like, okay, we're going to get screwed in this thing again. But are people like outside of that demographic in wrestling excited for this? Do they equate TNA and NXT Invasion to like anything more than just normal storyline wrestling?
Well, I think, like you asked, if any outside of TNA, I think Well, probably a lot of NXT fans are interested in it
But
too.
do they see TNA as an equal, I guess, is my question.
Maybe not the company itself, but some of the wrestlers in the company. Like you heard the pop. Well, I don't know if you heard it because you probably didn't watch it, but when Matt Cardona showed up, like there was, like he came off as like a bigger star than most people on their roster. And then some of the others, maybe not, but
I wonder if that is more of a Forbidden Door moment than it is because of this like if you can promise Forbidden Door moments, then I think that could work.
Well, and you kind of joked, and I heard you. I can't remember what show it was on. But or you might have even said it in the Discord when I brought up like Mance Warner, but it's funny because like that's for me, like that's a guy I would have never expected to see on WWE television. So it wasn't that, oh my God, it's Mance Warner, yay, it was more like
it's like a forbidden door kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then like Eric Young, was one because he was so down on when he left. Like if you remember, like he's like, I told Vince to shove it, and he's right back. I'm sure he got a paycheck. So I think there is some. I don't think it's like drawing new viewers, but it's it's creating a little bit of a buzz. I know the one thing that is exciting fans of both companies. I mean, they did announce one match for Bound for Glory that a lot of people are excited about. And that's Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Like two guys. I think Leon's 20 and Javon's 21, and these are like two of the best wrestlers in either company, and they're going to wrestle for the X Division title. So that's one, and that might even excite some AEW fans. Because that's the kind of match that would be. I mean, if that was on an AEW pay per view, that I can't even imagine what it would be like. So. I will say, like, we talk about my friend again, like he actually started watching TNA when this started. Yeah. And he's like, I kind of like this, like a lot of XWB people. And he said, I definitely like it better than AEW because it's more of closer to what he's used to. There's certain things he's like, I'm not going to watch these women. But because like TNA women's division, like God bless them, but it's like
what are they doing with Tessa?
They did an angle where she was suspended, and she was supposed to come back at the pay-per-view, but she didn't. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. But like it was an angle where she shoved the ring announcer. Well, she didn't shove her; she actually beat the shit out of her. And Gia's a wrestler herself, like Gia Miller. So I think they're setting up a match, maybe a Bound for Glory.
Do you want to if you were to like, this would be a good test.
Yeah.
Like if we said, okay, the WWE audience, this audience cheered Vince McMahon when he came back last. This audience has no problem with Brock Lesnar, who is on television.
Correct.
This audience just kind of like pushes the real world away and is like, we want to focus on our wrestling. If Tessa Blanchard came into WWE, would she get heavily booed?
If she showed up at the NXT arena, every single one of them is chanting she's a racist. But if
what about main roster?
That one I'm not sure of. I think it might be more indifference, like they don't even know who she is.
That I thought about that too.
Yeah. But in the NXT, like if they brought her into NXT, those fans would not like her. I just the sense, I guarantee it. And when they decide they don't like somebody, it's unison. Like for some reason they hate Josh Briggs. And I don't know why. I don't know what that guy did, but and I remember like back in the day there was somebody who was like their total baby face. Oh, it was the Rascals, whatever their name was back then. They just, I think there was like a domestic dispute or something.
Oh yeah, because his girlfriend or wife or something
and they just churned on them, and they basically had to fire them. Like, they kept Wes Lee. Well, where the hell is he? I haven't seen him in a while. So yeah, I think like they can't bring her into NXT, and they never have, and I don't think they will, because I think they know like that crowd will turn on her. And even in TNA, like it's subsided a bit. Like it depends where they are. And it's not so much like area of town, but it's more like if they're if they're in a building that's small and packed, they tend to like very vocal against her. But in some of the big buildings where they don't have a lot of seats sold, those are the ones where they kind of just give her the normal heel heat that she gets.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think she's worth I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze there, even though she's a talented wrestler. I think
I mean, you see the internet exploded with this Masha Slimovic situation with the tweets, and it was an interesting one because it was female on male violence,
yeah.
and so that is a little bit different from kind of what we usually see in this scenario. And they were very, very vocally against, at least on Twitter, against her and all the things. And she's gone now. We'll see what happens down the line. But
she was pulled even from indies. Like she's toxic right now. Like nobody's touching her.
Yeah, and that tells me that at least to a specific audience, that matters to them. But I just wonder if it matters to WWE audience as a whole.
Oh, and clearly they were interested in her because she was one that was, more often than not, I think probably other than Mike Santana, she's been the one that's been most on WWE television. She even was a special guest referee in a NXT women's title match, I think, or it was a TNA title match. And they brought her in as referee.
All right, let's talk about Ricky Saints here. Now,
Okay.
I've mentioned before how much I really love Ricky Saints, and I wanted him to go to the main roster. And since he's been in NXT, as big of a fan as I am, I don't like his presentation. I don't like the show, so I haven't really watched. So I don't know if I did watch that homecoming show, so I got to see his promo, which was really good. But I told you the issues that I had with it.
Did you see the thing where they showed him the video where he was walking around the streets in New Orleans? That might have been the best thing that might have been the best thing they've done with him since he got there.
I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
And so is this him winning? Is there actually steam with him winning, or is it just kind of the next chapter in the story?
I feel like it's just the next chapter in the story. And the funny thing is I've seen more negativity towards him winning than I was expecting. Like, and these are from fans of the show that watch the show. Like, oh, I can't believe he's the guy that beat Oba. Like I guess they wanted to be Trick or maybe Javon. For nobody else really that's at anywhere close to that level. So it's just more like it's like almost like they think it's like nepotism in some way because he's Cody's friend. So in that sense, like it feels more like like when Drew McIntyre won or when Bobby Roode won, Kevin Owens, I think even maybe like where it was like they win the title, but it's just they're going to be going up to the main roster in like 3 months. So, enjoy it while you can kind of thing.
Samoa Joe.
Yeah. Well, Joe had it a couple times and and he had, he actually did more than you thought he would.
But he came up and then he went back down and he had a weird injury and then he wasn't wrestling.
That's
and
right. Yeah. Yeah, and they brought him in. Actually, at one point, he won the title when he was on the main roster. I think, if I'm remembering right. Like they brought him in, and you thought, oh, it's just like a match that they're just gonna have, and then he won, and it's like, oh, okay. I'm not, me too. Like I like Ricky Saints, Ricky Starks. Like I actually famously didn't like his AEW debut. And that's what got me and Tony exchanging DMs because he saw that and he's like, how could you not like this guy? And I was like, I explained it to him. And, I says like, you just had him lose in like 8 minutes to Cody. And last week, Jungle Boy went 15 minutes with Cody. So what does that tell me? And he's like, well, stay tuned. I was like, yeah, of course I will. I'm going to keep watching. But yeah, anyways, fast forward like, 3 years and he's having these strap matches with Danielson. And he's like one of my favorites. And I told you, and I told everybody he's going to NXT, and no, they're going to go. I believed he should have gone to the main roster, but I also knew he wasn't gonna. And I would expect him probably next year's Mania. He'll be on the main roster, and then we'll see what he's got.
So it seems like now I'm only going to talk about the men. We can talk about the women in a different segment. or on a different show. Because the women are fantastic on NXT, and they would be the reason why I stick around and watch. And that's what I kind like. I'm sticking to my guns that I'm going to alleviate NXT until it gets better, and then I'll go back. But the women is really what I miss. That being said, Ricky Saints, Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans feel like they are the next level to go to the main roster. Ethan Page can go whenever. Like he can go now, but you know, they have him doing other stuff. But I don't consider Ethan Page a prospect necessarily. I consider him more of a utility guy who will be very useful down the line. What do you do with those four guys? Like there's no I'm not saying there's no room on the main roster, because you can always make room.
Mm-hmm. I would do, like, I don't know. I came up with an idea that I thought was great for Obafemi, and Sami Zayn has this US title open challenge going on right now. Have Obafemi show up and destroy him and win the title, and then you give him like a 9-month run with that belt. And you know, and that gets him established, and that tells you right away this is a guy, and people that don't already know him are going to be wowed. And especially when his wrestling is good, his promos are better, he's got that presence, like, you know, that's great. Trick is harder. Like Trick, you need the right angle. And then Javon, he's probably going to come in like Daniel Bryan did. I would think he's probably going to lose a lot and then get over with his wrestling. That's the template there. And then Ricky Saints, I have no idea. I have no idea what you do with him.
I mean, who's going to have the better WWE career if you were to put money on it? Ricky Saints or Carmelo Hayes?
Ricky Saints.
I would agree, but a year ago, I would not have thought that it was even up for debate.
Yeah, and I answered because that's my gut, but I mean, there's no guarantee. And if you're putting money on it, it's like minus 150 for, you know, Ricky Saints, and like plus 125 for Carmelo. Like, and it's not that I'm saying Carmelo is that great either, but Carmelo is kind of doing what I just said about Javon Evans. Like that's the template they're using. But I think Javon is a better wrestler and a better promo than Carmelo, believe it or not. And Carmelo's like swimming in quicksand with this Mellow Don't Miz, and like, you know, like he's great. Like, and he's that promo ability that he had in NXT, like that's gone. Like, I don't know what happened.
He was seen as very important in NXT, and he's seen as a mid-carder in WWE. So you can't cut those same main event promos when you're in the mid-card.
I mean, everybody that says that, you know, Vince made a mistake, you know, with how he how he was going to bring up Adam Cole and everything, like, and he probably did, like, suggesting that he should have been Keith Lee's manager. But what you're seeing with Carmelo Hayes is, I believe, what you would have seen with Adam Cole. Like, you know, like,
well, here's the thing, right? Here now, I'm not saying this is what Vince is thinking, but if people remember, in 1984, Roddy Piper was more manager than he was main eventer, and then his talking ability changed Vince's mind on what he could do.
Yeah,
and also, it was all based on size.
And we remember Leo Rush and Lashley. Like that was the same thing. Leo was his manager, and Leo was outshining Lashley. The only problem was he was so small that they couldn't like put him over anybody. But that was like one of the highlights of that really bad era of Raw, was seeing those two together every week. And so I mean, that people looked at it like, you know, like that's all he sees in Adam Cole. But Vince was probably like, okay, this is how I can make money with this guy. You know, and
you would eventually have Adam Cole and Keith Lee have issues, and then you have the little man eventually beat the big man, and he would have been, that's how you would have gotten him over. All right, that was a good kind of thought conversation, because the way that I see TKO is I see WWE probably yearly bringing up guys like those four that I mentioned and getting rid of folks who make more money than those guys. Those guys are going to work really hard because they're going to want to get to the next level. They'll be way cheaper, and you'll save money on your roster by doing it that way. And then they'll, all the fans will yell at them for, for doing it that way, when that's just how professional sports works in general. So anyways, all right, last topic here, and then we'll get out of here, which is the women's blood and guts match that was set up on Collision. Are we sure that has it been official that it's going to happen on that Tuesday Dynamite?
No.
It's just speculation right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's speculation that Dave gave, so it's possible Dave heard something.
Right.
But I mean, Tony Schiavone originally said, "Oh, it's going to be this Wednesday," and then no, that's what he said. Yeah, and then he said, "Oh, no, sorry, that was wrong." Like, it's like Tony Khan.
The amount of mistakes that dude makes, is incredible.
So yeah, it's going to happen. Like, basically, Jamie Hayter said, "There's only one way to settle this." It's like, really? Like, you do this every week. And so there's blood and guts, and then
she could have said, tailgate parking lot match. Like, there's so many of these things.
And it was, so how it came off to me, and the funny thing is like, okay, when the baby faces say that, the heels should be scared, and the heels were like, yeah. It's like,
well, I mean, that was probably more a real reaction than anything else, right?
Totally. Like, it's like when they mentioned
on that stage.
It's like but it reminded me of when, like Triple H tells the NXT women, "You're gonna get a War Games match." It's like, yay, we get a War Games match.
I mean, because it puts them on equal footing,
right?
And they get an opportunity to shine, and that is more of a real reaction than a pro wrestling reaction. But you know what, my main issue with the way that they set that thing up is the way that they set it up. It felt very much like a hot shot.
Yes. And
if I was kind of in charge of putting that thing together, let's say, I don't know how Tony does that. I don't know if he's got someone booking the women's division, or at least creating ideas, or, reminding Tony about where things are. But I would have wanted it to be set up a little bit more organically. And I would have also, and this is my real worry with this match, because we know this from how WWE books Evolution. And this is actually a crossover promotional thing that I think actually correlates very well. Evolution, both times they did it, it was super hot shot, like last minute, no real thought. There was a reason that wasn't about creating this show to better the division. It was a different reason in both times. The first time, it was because they needed to do something to take the steam off of the Saudi Arabia show. The second time, at least I'm going to guess that it was related to adding shows to Peacock so they could get out of their deal earlier. There may be more reasons.
That and combating All In on their weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So one seems very similar in that they need a Tuesday night main event for when they're going head to head with NXT, because they're getting pushed off of their Wednesday match. Now, if it comes out that Tony's like, nope, we're not doing it on that show, we're pushing it out to whenever, then what we're saying right now is false. But we're going with the idea that that's why this match was set up.
Yeah.
I worry that it's not going to have enough star power. Now, that may be good for the women that you just talked about who are really excited to do the match, because they're kind of just in the middle, and it would give them an opportunity to wrestle in a very important match. I'm just worried about how that match gets perceived if it doesn't draw the television rating that it would draw if Tony Storm and Mina and Mercedes were at the center of it, rather than Jamie Hayter against Tekla and Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata against Tekla and her crew. That feud being the reason for this match to kick off does not feel like a main event. And so if I'm looking at this from the perspective of we want to make this thing a spectacle, we want to elevate this thing, and it's finally we have a women's one, the fans have been asking about it. I would want my main eventers in it, because just by having your main eventers in it and your stars, it just elevates the concept. It's like WWE is not going to run the War Games at Survivor Series. They're not going to run it with the Wyatt Six, right? They're going to run it with their main eventers.
Yeah.
And so that would be my worry. Now, those main eventers may be in it. We don't know what the teams are. We'll learn about the teams.
I think I know what the teams are going to be, like, based on the history. I mean, again, I shouldn't say I think I know, but I think I can guess. Obviously the 5 that were brought up, it was Tekla and Almanada on the babyface side. I think you can add Harley and Chris Statlander to that, because they've been in all of these hardcore matches that they do, and then probably Willow. So that's your 5, and then on the heel side, you've got the 3 in the Triangle of Madness, or whatever they're called. And I think that is the name, actually. And then probably Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford would be my guess. And yeah,
I guess Bayne is good. Bayne is good for that match.
And Ford is probably the pin eater.
Yeah.
But so then you got 5-on-5. You got the world champion in there, so you've got a possibility of setting up something that can play into, like, of her next match. Like if she gets pinned, or if someone on the heel team gets the win. But here's the problem, and this is why I wouldn't put your big stars in it, your Tony Storm or your Mercedes. That show's gonna die. Like, it doesn't matter if you put Tony and Mercedes in it. They're on the wrong night. They're head to head with NXT. NXT is doing the Invasion show, which is going to be 2 5-on-5 matches. TNA against NXT, men's and women's. It'll be all their top stars on both teams. Like, I don't know who the teams are going to be, but I know how they do this, and it's going to be their top stars. And then they're also doing a title for title tag team match, and they're bringing in the Hardy Boys.
Wow.
So, like, they're not fooling around.
Even though that sounds like a pretty good for an NXT show, I still think they need to bring someone from the main roster.
Yeah, and maybe they do, like, for these 5-on-5 matches, but they may not. I'm trying to think. That's the week they go to Perth, so they may not be able to. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe if there's some leftovers that aren't going to Perth, it's like,
well, let's say AJ Lee isn't going to Perth. I would put AJ Lee on that NXT show.
Yeah, or obviously Rhea's going. Asuka, I don't imagine she's going to Perth.
I don't know. I don't think AJ Lee needs to be in that match, by the way, but I would like
I know, just some star power. Yeah.
She's going to come on this show, and then you have all these women who are wrestling today who were inspired by her, and you can do a really fun segment like that.
Yeah, or she could be like a coach.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that, but I think it's going to be like like everybody they have. Like, your men's team is probably going to be like Trick, Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, Javon Evans, and Obafemi. I mean, that's it. That's probably your 5
all-star team.
Yeah, exactly. And then the women, the women's equivalent to that: Jordan Grace, Mariah May, Blake Monroe, JC Jane. Like, they've actually got people. So, and then the TNA probably doesn't even matter. It's just it's TNA, but there'll be some names people know.
Mance Warner, come on.
Yeah. But then it's like you've got AEW, which is billing this thing as Title Tuesday. And then now we think, it's going to be blood and guts. Well, what about the titles? So you probably do need to have those champions in other matches defending their titles.
I guess Mercedes at least.
Yeah, probably Mercedes, probably Kyle Fletcher.
I mean, they really should kick off the women's tag team tournament too, which they had as the special announcement and then didn't even really talk about it. I did like, what was it? Was it Tay Mello who cut the promo on Collision? I mean, they should do more of that, because it's like, I'm in this thing. Like,
I mean, she lied, but it was great. They called themselves the OGs. They had a tag team tournament. Remember? I called it the Brandy Bowl. It was
was it like some of it on YouTube or something?
It was all on YouTube.
Oh god.
And the winners was Diamante and Ivelisse.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but Brandy made it to the finals. I can't remember who her partner. It might have been like Awesome Kong or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I called it the Brandy Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was
Back in the day.
but that was like they had a tag team tournament back then, and I think people at that time thought they might do tag team titles for the women, but I guess they just didn't have the depth back then.
Yeah,
They
they
definitely do
they
now.
should have some interviews with the team so at
Yeah.
least we know, even if Tony
Mhm.
hasn't created the tournament brackets yet, we know the teams that are like vying to be into this thing.
They showed like they did a video and they showed some teams. Like so you got Megan and Penelope shown. I think Mina and Tony. I think Mina and Tony are probably going to be in the tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
They should probably win it, or at least
Yeah.
be in the finals.
Yeah, but maybe even win it to establish it, because that also keeps Tony out of the world title picture, because she's going to overshine anybody that she's in there with. So it's probably a good idea to let Chris kind of cook for a little while.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
All
right, that is it for this week on the Takedown. I guess I know you're going to be off at some point in the near future, so we'll
on a
probably
Monday. Yeah, I mean, unless we do it like we could do it like we did tonight too. Like,
okay.
we can do it in the evening that week. It's just I can't record during the day that week.
Yeah, totally fine.
Yeah.
This time generally works pretty well for me also.
Yeah,
so.
it's like 3 weeks from now, so we got time.
Okay, cool. So that is it from here. Thanks to our faves, Fernando, Maria Graciela. Love you folks. Really enjoy it when I see y'all in the chat. You even if I don't post all of your notes, I am reading all of them. So keep doing that. And yeah, we'll be back next week talking about all the stuff and previewing that Tuesday night affair, because we'll record the day before. So there will be more information out by then, I'm sure. All right. For Paul, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.